All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Big news. Word is coming out that Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez fight is done and that they will be announcing it soon. Let's talk about that in this video. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. Before I get into the video though, thank you for coming back and checking out another video on the channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And hit that bell icon and make sure you get all notifications. All right, so let's go through this. This is really good news. Getting this from, first of all, I'm getting it from a really good source, that the fight, that they are pretty much done with Canelo Alvarez and Jermall Charlo, and that Canelo Alvarez is going to take that fight with Jermall Charlo. Also, you have Eddie Hearn coming out today saying that Canelo Alvarez and Jermall Charlo is Canelo Alvarez's most easy option. So all signs are pointing at this fight being done and us being able to get a fight that we've been looking forward to for a very long time. I've been looking forward to a fight between Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez ever since Canelo Alvarez was and those guys were both at 154 pounds. So now it appears as if this thing is done. Now the official announcement, I'm being told, is not going to come out until after the Barrios versus Thurman fight. Similarly, how they've not made an official announcement about the Errol Spence Jr. fight against Yordenis Ugas, even though we all know that that fight is pretty much a done deal. They've not actually come out and announced that date. So my understanding is what they're waiting on is to actually make the formal announcement after the Barrios versus Thurman fight. And when they announce all of the fights for the PBC for Fox and Showtime that they have not as of yet done. So man, this is really big news, and I'm telling you ahead of time, Canelo Alvarez is going to get a lot of credit from me if he fights Jermall Charlo. It is going to put to bed or put to rest a lot of the conversations about whether or not he is willing to fight certain talent levels of fighters, because Jermall Charlo is somebody that is a legitimate challenger for Canelo Alvarez. He is not somebody that, where you can look in this fight and for sure what the outcome of that fight is going to be. There are a lot of people that talk about who Jermall Charlo has not beaten, what he's done in certain fights, like against Matt Korobov and against Montiel. But when he fights those type of guys, number one was a southpaw and literally was fighting him right after an upset loss for his brother, and the other is a guy that he pretty much might have taken for granted. I don't know. Whatever the case is, I know that Jermall Charlo is legitimately a top fighter, and he is very close to the same size as Canelo Alvarez, and can definitely cause that man problems. So for me, if Canelo Alvarez beats Jermall Charlo, and he beats Jermall Charlo in an impressive fashion, dude, the guy is going to get 100% full credit for me, and you guys can run off and say what I can actually rejoin the Canelo bandwagon that I had been on for a long time, but I had to get off of because of just a series of misadventures on his behalf from the initial time that he tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs up until this, this UK fighter tour that he went on with the Zone. I had been less than satisfied with the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez had faced. But in a fight with Jermall Charlo, that is an absolutely huge fight. That's a huge fight, and it is a risky fight for Canelo Alvarez. And if he's willing to do this and this stuff is right, then it just shows you that dude is a real trooper. Jermall Charlo is somebody that is underrated in the sport of boxing, in my opinion, and is as good a competition as Canelo Alvarez could possibly have gotten. Now, another thing that leads, now, first of all, I've been saying this prior to having heard this, and definitely prior to having heard what Eddie Hearn said, because when Eddie Hearn comes out and says, yeah, the easiest option for for Canelo Alvarez is Jermall Charlo. That's telling you that he knows that that fight is about done, because the fighters that he wanted him to fight, you know, all of those options are gone. The Makabu fight, if that ever was a serious option for him, is gone, because, you know, Makabu just fought, and there was a lot of, he just fought last weekend. Canelo Alvarez is going to have to announce his fight and get prepared for his fight on May 7th pretty quickly, because Eddie Reynoso came out and said, you know, that they knew when Canelo Alvarez was going to fight. He's going to fight on May 7th. He's going to fight on May 7th, and he's going to believe, I think the date was September 16th, but those two holidays that he typically fights on. So guys like Beterbiev, who's going to be fighting Joe Smith. Joe Smith was an option for Canelo Alvarez. It is no longer there. And the fact that Joe Smith took that Beterbiev fight lets you know that he knows what the deal is. You also have the the fights, like I said, with Makabu that is already gone. He's not going to fight Demetrius Andrade. You know, so it pretty much all signs pointed to this before this started coming out, and I'm actually excited, really, really excited about it, man. This is going to be a good year. I think that this is going to be a really, really good year for boxing, to be able to get the Errol Spence Jordanis Ugas fight, to be able to get Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez. Then you have Jermall Charlo, Canelo Alvarez and Jermall Charlo, all in that time frame, man. Even fights like Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. That's an exciting fight, right? You also have Jermall Charlo, who is going to get his fight with the unification, the undisputed rematch with Brian Castano is around that time frame. So it's just really, really exciting, man. And obviously this fight for me is the one that would really cap it off. Now, there's also fights that I do believe that can happen around that time frame, like Tyson Fury versus Dillian White, Anthony Joshua versus Usyk, the rematch. So it's just, for me, it's looking like that time frame between March, April, May, and June is going to be a really, really good time in boxing. As far as what is happening in the fight with Jermall Charlo and Canelo Alvarez, I'll tell you that I favor Canelo Alvarez to win that fight, because I think, for two reasons. One, Canelo Alvarez is an exceptional fighter with a lot of experience fighting on a big stage. And, he's just an excellent fighter. But the main reason is because of, the amount of, benefit of the doubt that is going to go to Canelo Alvarez in that fight. And Canelo Alvarez is a dude that has a really good chin. As you saw when he fought Gennady Golovkin and he walked Gennady Golovkin down in that second fight, he can get caught by a dude with a real strong shot and still be able to stand up to those shots. So the combination of his chin, his ability to stand in front of somebody and miss and make them miss while they're swinging makes me give Canelo Alvarez the advantage over Jermall Charlo. However, at the same time, I do believe that it's not some wide out there margin for that fight. I think that maybe like a 55-45 fight at the worst. If it was not for, the likelihood of that scorecard being off. But anyway, or being heavily favored towards Canelo Alvarez. But regardless, I'm happy that Canelo Alvarez is doing this fight. It's a good fight for the dude. It's not, and he should be commended for taking the fight. And when he does it, and this is actually, after they make the official announcement, you're not going to hear a lot about me talking about Canelo Alvarez being a duck artist, because now it would have basically, what would have happened was that all of these fights that really took place over there at DAZN would be bookended by good fights that have taken place on Showtime and have took place on HBO. And I think that you could pretty much assume that the reason that he fought all those guys from the UK, like Billy Joe Saunders, Rocky Fielding, what's the guy's name? Tall dude, forgive me, Callum Smith. Well, the reason he fought Yaldemir had more to do with what was going on over there at DAZN and the fights that they were allowing him to have than his willingness to fight top competition. So anyway, that's my take on the situation. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.